Zoom, and in light of the local government elections, we give thanks that, you know, your presence, you're out here very early to discuss the matters, and we give thanks for that. Philip Alexander, great to have you on the program, political leader of the PEP, the Progressive Empowerment Party, and now teaming up and forming an alliance, and we'll get to that momentarily with the Reunited Farmers Alliance. Great to have you on the program. All the best.
Thanks for having me. Thanks to your viewing audience. Morning to everybody, Trinidad and the wider world at viewing.
That's right. Tell me about the alliance in terms of that initial conversation. Did they come to you? You went to them? How did that coming together with the Reunited Farmers Alliance transpire and take place?
Actually, I started a while back when Debica Thomas started the Reunited Farmers. They were reaching out to political parties and interested persons. And at that time, we had just started the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago, which is a side thing that we do to help people. We fought for the TSTT retirees who had outlived their service, even through the Communication Workers Union. We were fighting for them. So it was an opportunity to stand with the farmers who did not get their visa packages. So we said, sure, and I went and we walked with them, we marched with them. We had a couple meetings, public meetings with them where we were asked to speak, and we established a nice relationship. And when the local government election decision was made that we were contesting, they said that they were contesting as well, and Debica and I just chatted. We were just chatting about it, and we said, why we don't do this together? So it was an opportunity to stand with the farmers who did not get their visa package, be contesting, and we are in an alliance with the Reunited Farmers and anybody who's in alliance with them. We don't have the time to focus on that part, so they're handling that. We want to focus on the issues.
How many corporations are going for the full complement?
The alliance is going for the full 14. The Progressive Empowerment Party is responsible completely for 9, and we have candidates in others.
Indeed. So
be contesting, and we are in an alliance with the Reunited Farmers and any Saran. I can give number.
Of course.
796-8172.
Okay.
And they could touch base direct with Satish, and he will tell them where in Trinidad there is screening taking place, because they're screening in the east, they're screening south, deep south, they're screening at headquarters. So anybody who's still interested in coming on board, because we also need volunteers. Not everybody who screens could get the nod as candidate, but we need volunteers, we need observers for election days, a lot of posts. So the more people that come forward, the better.
As you said, observers, you know, my observation is one where, and for years, people would have mentioned they want something different. They're fed up of the two-party system, you know, two major political entities being PNM and UNC, and they're looking for change. And here is PEP and others coming into the fold. But at least for the general, we never saw it as a reflection, really, of people's request of their desire when we look at the actual numbers. Do you anticipate that at some point this could now be aligned with what people want in terms of that change, in terms of something fresh?
It's always what they want, you know. People want something different, but they're scared to death. It's a matter of trust. We've never had political parties that kept their words. And let's be honest, right? That's the problem we have with political parties, that they make a whole lot of promises and then they get into public office and then you're stuck with them. We have no recall law, so we can't fire them, we can't bring them out of office. We're stuck with them for the term. And Trinidadians for generations, granny, grandpa, mommy, daddy, telling children who have now come of age that don't take on none of them, and all politicians is the same, all of them is lighty, all of them take advantage of you, blah, 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 blah. So it's a steep learning curve to get into politics, and then it's a waiting game. It's like hurry up and wait. You have to be consistent. You have to be there. There are people who've come into politics after the Progressive Empowerment Party was formed in one party, gone to another party, jump ship, change parties. And we're still here, consistently growing, consistently delivering, consistently showing that there can be a political movement outside of it that is inside of the service. We don't just stand by and wait till an election is called. The Progressive Empowerment Party are first responders in every single situation that takes place in the country. We've led by example. We have a We Will Fix It campaign, because people know that if they reach out to us, we will respond and in some way get them redress.
Can I be frank and honest? Because I know that's one thing we, at least when we have our conversations, we always go down that particular road. A lot of people, when you hear them talk about PEP, they look at the party with favor. But there's some who, and again, you're a man with a strong personality and clearly very honest. And some of your utterances over the past couple of years would have been very sharp. And there's some people who, I guess they're not accustomed to that style, or they are a bit wary that someone who puts himself into the role of leadership would approach, whether it be a video online or whether it be a press conference in such a sharp and frank manner. Are you going to adjust at all going forward, or is that just, this is Philip, this is my personality, and this is the brand and style you're going with via the politics?
Well, in the very beginning, trying to elbow a space for ourselves, we needed to be heard. There's a lot of control.
The role of leadership would approach, whether it be a video online or whether it be a press conference in such a sharp and frank manner. Are you going to adjust at all going forward, or is that just, this is Philip, this is my personality, and this is the brand and style you're going with via the politics?
In you that is different, and I don't have access to that.
And probably unseen.
Exactly. Exactly that. And I don't have access to that. I only had, at that time, my voice. And I had to show to the public, because as you just said, while it's unseen to who we speak in a minute, the masses are seeing what is said, what's being done, and you have to be able to show that you're strong enough to fight, because they're not going to take you seriously if they think that you're weak. The reality of our situation in Trinidad is you need strong politicians, and I'm realizing the recipe they've created. You need to be strong, frank, clever, bright, intelligent, but calm and Obama-esque, while still being willing to roll up your sleeves and get on in the fray and fight. So it's, again, that's part of the learning curve. But as we've plateaued, we've settled into a space where the Progressive Empowerment Party has a space in the national conversation, and there are so many others in the party who have responsibility for the day-to-day fights and the contention, because it's a very contentious thing, politics. I don't really generally have to do that. I used to do a live video every single night. Now I only do issue videos, and I do issue videos where I think that my voice will make it go viral and have it addressed, because that's what happens.
So based on what you're saying here, it seems that there will be a little more diplomacy, I would imagine.
But there's a lot more, but there's always been. And I want to remind people that I used to be on this set when it was a coffee station. I was on this without being a politician, without being elected to any office. When the Morning Brew wasn't even named the Morning Brew yet, I used to be on this show regular, twice, 3 times a month, with all the diplomacy in the world. Getting into the politics creates a demand on you, where you have to fight for your right for that space, and to stay and to come and deliver. And it demanded that. But we're back to a point now where I can come and sit on a set with you and chat. Yeah,
and I'm happy you're here, you know, and you're always very frank and open when we have these discussions. I want to go back to the third-party scenario. I believe sincerely this local government will be, in a sense, a dress rehearsal for the general.
It absolutely is.
Yes, and going in, I'm thinking when the results come back on the 14th, the Prime Minister would have put it, of August, we can get a real indication as to where we are, and if indeed, as I said earlier, this desire, this wanting for new, for something fresh, can indeed become a reality. What's your anticipation? What's your hope and desire?
You're spot on. It's going to be a referendum. We're taking it as a referendum of the government, of the opposition, of us, of the process, of the voters. Local government election is traditionally very low turnout. If we get a big turnout, we know we're going to win, or we're going to show well, because it means that we would have pulled people out who traditionally would not vote. A high voter turnout in a local government election favors us, because we're going to be the next big game, besides the PNM and the UNC, is the alliance, Progressive Empowerment Party with the Reunited Farmers. That's the next big choice and is an option. Now they've come on board with us. We have our membership. They have their 72,000 members. So as people are saying, wait a minute, something new has an actual chance, and people get on board when they think something has a chance. So we're looking forward to that. And as you said earlier, and I wanna speak to that issue, that is always gonna come down to the voters. The voters need to remember that everything that we're fighting for, them, us, all of us, where we agree, is never going to change until we vote ourselves a better country. And they have to take a chance. And I was asking people, because I was watching some videos you were doing about the roads and stuff, and I was doing this live video, and I was saying, how could it get worse? Unless the government comes and starts blowing up the road, it can't get worse. Yeah. Unless they come into your house and take out your sink and your faucet and your toilet, the lack of water can't get worse. Unless they flood you deliberately every single day, it can't get worse. Unless you go to the hospital and they just have no doctors, no nurses, how could it get worse? We are in a place now in Trinidad and Tobago where it is so bad, it's hard to envision how it could possibly get worse. And you have an opportunity to take a chance that it might get better. Now is a perfect time as ever, because if Trinidad wakes up the morning after a local government election result and the Progressive Empowerment Party has won, or that our alliance has shown well, the country will feel a surge of hope. That's something new. Because you see, the Progressive Empowerment Party has never been recycled politicians. People talk, where's your names? Who's the people of worth? We are all civic-minded, patriotic, intelligent, bright people willing to sacrifice. You know this. You know what this takes. When you say about getting up early in the morning, you do this every day. And this takes a lot out of your life. And I know you. The first time you and I spoke, I don't know if you remember, my son was 15 years old in St. Mary's College. That was 15 years ago. And you were on stage, and this was his first party. And I watch you, and I think this man is be early in the morning, late in the night. When do you sleep? You understand?
Wow.
So I know that you know the level of sacrifice that it takes to give at this level. And
I would imagine, based on what you just mentioned, is, well, I could imagine that being a reason, and others too, that you could elaborate why you would have turned down UNC. I know they would have mentioned, I don't know if they came to you directly, but I heard mention of going to parties to form another alliance, and well, from what I understand, it's a no-go, it's a no-show really when it comes to the PEP and the UNC. Can you elaborate in that regard?
I was one of the first people they came to. Tim Gopi Singh is a friend of mine, and Dr. Tim Gopi Singh, and we spoke twice. We went to lunch and we spoke, and he said, look, she's softening her stance. She's looking to get other people on board. Would you all be interested? I said, for me, not really. We've come this far, but I'll take it back to the team. We went to the team. They said, but what's changed? What's changed in the UNC that would make you think, or would make anyone think, that us coming on board would make a difference? What's changed to the experience of the People's Partnership, where the UNC is only looking for you to get a distraction, to maybe get some extra votes? What's different? What will be left of the country, the party, the Progressive Empowerment Party? What will be left of the government? What's changed? And nothing. Nothing of substance. They've not changed anything of substance. And their utterances, on both sides, but you're speaking to this issue with the UNC and their call, it would be so much easier, and I tell people this, I mean, you all know I've been in this for a long time now, and it would have been so much easier if all I wanted was political power to jump into one of those two parties. I mean, it's easy. When you have abilities, they want you, they need you. If I was to walk on a UNC platform or a PNM platform today, it would send a little shockwave. And I know that if I wanted to and did that reach out, I could get through. But my purpose for being in politics still remains. I know I am going to die. I am going to leave this world. I buried my father since I've been in politics, and I watched him strong and vibrant, and I watched him wither away and die, and I know I'm going to leave my children in this country. And I want to leave a country where it works for them, where if somebody's having an emergency and they pick up the phone and they call an ambulance, they don't have to wait 3 hours. That if they get to a hospital because they have to go to an emergency room, that there's a doctor there and there's not a security guard. You know, and it's these things, because Trinidad is so wealthy to be this bad. That's the problem. And I think that all of it is because of greed, and all of it is because of theft. And if we could go in there and just remove that, that's what the sledgehammer is for. I want to break that. I want that to be my job. I want that to be my role, to end the corruption, to stop it. And I tell people, a lot of people talk in politics about things that they overhear and they know third hand. I know these things first hand. I know it from uncle and auntie. I know who involved in what. And I could tell you Trinidad and Tobago is a very broken and corrupt society, and if we could fix just that, if we could fix that, people talk constitution reform. If you could get fixed election dates, referendum, recall, campaign finance, just those 4 things will change the entire country, and it will elevate the very poor, and it will change lives. Those things, nobody's talking about that. We talk about them as fashionable. If people make enough noise, government will come, opposition will come, they'll speak to it for a minute. I want to give you an example, if I could.
Of course.
One of our deputy political leaders, Marissa Prasad, she called us, Lister Manu from Suchet Trace in Deep South, and they call us Chester Street. There's this river, the Godino River, that's not been dredged since 1962. So it's no longer a river because the silt on the bottom has built up over the years. So it's now, instead of a bowl, it's a saucer. And as soon as enough water falls into it, it floods into the adjoining farmland. And they call begging us because no government, no opposition ever, and they've seen our We Will Fix It campaign, so they call us to test us. And when we went and we walked the miles of that river and we found all the pillars for the bridges, and they were showing us that the pillars over years became dams, so it's rivers within rivers within rivers, and you saw all the problems and the easiness of the fix. We called in some engineers, we called in some contractors who were willing to work with us, and they came and they brought drones, they did satellite shots, and they showed us that the fastest, best way to solve this problem, to protect the farmers, because so many of the farmers didn't even bother to try to grow food. Because if the rain fall heavy for 2 days, they lose everything. And they said that the fastest way to do it is to get into the river, dredge the center of the river, and use that silt to build a berm on either side of the river as an immediate, so it'll immediately double the size of the catchment, clear what's going on below the bridges. When we did that, and we went to Separia for a meeting, and we announced that we were going to get it done because contractors had agreed to do it, the very next day, the Member of Parliament, Rudal Monilal, and the Minister of Works, Rohan Sinanan, showed up at Chester Street, and now they're going to do it.
Wow.
So that all it took was for us to push them out of their comfort zone and show that there is somebody who is willing to get it done. That's what we bring to politics.
I want to ask you, as we wrap things up this morning, again, to just remind folks of the number they can call if they want to be part of the movement going into the local and, by extension, the general. And just really, from your heart to the nation looking on, why going with the PEP, going with your mandate, with your philosophy, with your ethos, would be the best way moving forward for Trinidad and Tobago. It's all yours.
I'll give you the 796-8172 number again. And I'll go back to that same example I just made. If you wake up in a Trinidad and Tobago where you voted the Progressive Empowerment Party into government, local government, and you handed us that mandate, what I would tell the other 2 office-holding parties right now is that you are willing to make a change, and it'll panic them, because they will see that come general elections, you can and will exercise a choice. They will start to serve you better immediately. An immediate response, besides the fact that the Progressive Empowerment Party and the United Farmers will be on the ground serving you in a way that local government has never served you before. You will also have the reality of the existing members of Parliament doing their jobs, trying to show that, okay, we could do it too.
I want to thank you for coming on, for, again, as always, being frank, being open, being honest, telling us as it is, and letting us know that all plans are in place, all systems are go for the local government elections. The PEP, they are in the mix, and as per usual, in the days and weeks ahead, we will see how the campaign pans out. We wish you the best, Mr. Alexander. All the best.
Thanks very, very much for having me.
For sure. Every time. We're going to come back and continue with